There's so many scenes I love in this film. I love what Castille did so much. And I particularly love the Hardin and Tessa ice cube scene. I'm wondering how many ice cubes you had to go through while you were filming that. Joe, I felt for you because I was like, she must be getting cold right now. So I want to start with you, Joe. How many ice cubes did you guys go through?
Well, I hate to spoil the movie magic, but I think just one, because it was actually a glass or a plastic ice cube that we used for most of the scene. But for when we did one close up, I think we did one take of using the actual ice. It was very cold. It was very cold, and it's funny because you want to squeal, and you can't. It's not the same. So yeah, I'm glad that we didn't use one ice cube, and I'm glad that we didn't use more than that.
But Hero, what were your memories on filming that scene? Were you worried about Joe getting like uncomfortable or too cold?
Yeah, well, there's obviously the continuity error with having an ice cube that's going to melt, and suddenly the ice cubes change in sizes every time the shot changes. So yeah, again, we hate to spoil the movie magic, but so you get the answer. I didn't have to endure the pain of the cold. It was all Joe. So yeah, she was a trooper for the time we did use the real ice cube.
Well, I'm going to mention something I just remembered. I think it was actually you who picked up the continuity issue. Before we did the scene, you said, "How are we going to do this? Because the ice cube's going to melt." So he definitely gets the credit.
Oh well, thank you. Teamwork makes the dream work. But you know what? I've just realised this is another reason the intimacy coordinator helps, because you actually sit down, and even things that are so just practical like that, we've sat down. When you have an intimacy coordinator, you do just put a bit more attention to detail into those things. And yeah, we would have had troubles if we didn't have that one sorted.
I love how in this book and this movie, Hardin uses boxing and going to the gym in order to relieve stress and kind of get away from it all. I'm curious what's something that each of you have done recently in order to relieve stress. For me, if it's not just like binging a Netflix show, it's probably just picking up a good book, hanging out with my dogs. Joe, what's something that you're doing recently to kind of like relieve stress and just take some time for yourself?
I really like driving. I think driving is great because it's something where you have to be a little focused, but you can also you can be by yourself and you can listen to music, and it's not something, and it's enjoyable, but it's an activity that you still have to focus on. So I just really like driving places.
I think a lot of people won't be shocked to say it's football for me. I feel like I kind of just, when I'm back home, I feel like I'm doing, a few auditions and bits of work here and there, and just playing as much football as I can. I feel like if I ever don't, I start to get a bit grumpy, and I realize, it's because I haven't done that. So
here, I also want to talk about your producing credit on this film. I was so excited when I saw that in the teaser originally. How did that come about?
Do you know what? It happened kind of during the process of filming, actually. Just kind of, I had talks beforehand and realized that far down the line, the involvement is something that I'd love to do more of in the future. And I deliberately didn't even exercise any kind of like creative control that I wouldn't have had in previous films or just as an actor. So I didn't actually, have anything to say or add that I wouldn't have just as Hero playing Hardin. But moving forward, I'm super excited to kind of have that under my belt, and I'd love to do more of that behind the camera stuff in the future too. So
Joe, you are incredible at accents. I think you do the best American accent ever. And I love it when you play Tessa impersonating Hardin, when she's saying Elizabeth Bennet needs to chill. I think you do such a fantastic job. So is it easier to kind of drop your Australian accent and pick up on an English accent now that you've been working with Hero for so long after these years?
No, I haven't done a British accent in so long. I think it's the first accent I ever did or tried to do. And I found it really easy because I think it's more similar coming from Australian to British. It's kind of just like a posh, but now I've been doing a US accent for so long that I feel like I would struggle to get into one.
Everybody wants to know what your Halloween costumes were when you were filming in Bulgaria for that Halloween party. Can you actually confirm what they were and if they were related? And Joe, what did the Post-it note say? Hero, what was your costume?
I did a Peaky Blinders look. We were lucky to use the costume, huge costume wardrobe facilities in the studio in Bulgaria. So we had everything to pick from, and I chose like a simple Peaky Blinders look, but I loved it. Hers was a lot more interesting.
I completely forgot about that Post-it note. I don't know. How did they know there was a Post-it note?
I think it was on. Honestly, I saw the picture a while ago. I think that they just saw it and it was like blurry on the pig costume there.
Well, it was a pig costume, and I loved it because it was very warm. But then when I wanted to take it off, I just unzipped the back, and then I was in normal clothes. I think we were having a competition of the shortest amount of time to pick the costume outfit in the costume house, and I think I got mine in like 2 minutes. Yeah, I just walked, and I walked in and I said, I just want the silliest thing. The Post-it note said capitalism, or I think it had the name of a former leader of the country, and it was kind of, yeah, I got rid of the Post-it note after a little bit, but it was just trying to make it more clever.
I absolutely loved the gym scene, but it had to have been so tricky for you to film because of all the mirrors, but it looked so beautiful. The cinematography was so beautiful. Can you just talk about what the memories were of shooting that scene, and did it take a full day to shoot?
It took half a day to shoot, because it was definitely quite tricky. And I somewhere there's got to be behind the scenes pictures of the camera operator had to wear a whole black suit, like his whole head was covered and everything, so that you couldn't see him in those mirrors. And we did have mirrors that we could move because we made that set. But yeah, it's one of my most proud sets as well, or scenes as well. I love that scene.
You've worked with Hero and Joe now over a several months time frame, prepping before you even came to before you guys even went to Bulgaria. What's something that the two of them taught you about yourself as a director after working with them over that amount of time?
I think the best thing I was able to learn was like how to quickly switch between these very different people. Here, it was very much like, we're going to go talk to Joe, we're going to go talk to Hero. Like, both of them had to have equal, kind of 50-50 partnership. And, talking to each of them was quite different because they relate to things she's very analytical with things. And he is more of, I would say, like, I think he's the more emotional of the two, for sure. I think that might surprise people, but like he operates from his gut, and she is operating from her brain.